Well, hey, welcome back to the North Florida Sports Network.
The rankings came out Wednesday, so we're going to do a little quick hitter here about the rankings and a couple of matchups this weekend. We'll look forward to the games, the college games more, probably Thursday evening or Friday. We'll get in depth about the matchups, but wanted to talk about the rankings. They came out, and I don't think anybody was surprised seeing Florida State go to 5. I got Jimmy Reno with me here. Is that what do you think? What was your initial thought looking at it?
I figured we would go to 5. If we would have beat Northern Alabama the same score with Jordan Travis healthy, then it would have been maybe you would have had a shot. But I think
they would have done it anyway.
Yeah, I really figured they were going to reward Washington for going on the road and beating Oregon State. I mean, what I didn't enjoy, and what I think is just purely for television and entertainment, was, Herb Street and Reese Davis, their takes on it, their takes on FSU especially.
Yeah.
And the idea that you need that you need to now take Florida State and look at them from this point going forward as a team that doesn't have a resume. Essentially is what they're saying.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's a team game.
Yeah. Now, I think it's strictly for viewership.
Yeah.
For people to keep watching and talking about like we're doing right now. I think there's no way if Florida State finds a way to win the next 2 games that they're going to be left out of the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And I'm not, Ohio State and Michigan got to play, so it's not really that big of a deal. Should Florida State?
Yeah, but the scenario that you're referring to, and let's go ahead and get there, is the one where you have an undefeated Big Ten champion, and say Washington wins that and goes undefeated. They have those as the top 2 teams. And what they were talking about was Alabama beating Georgia in the championship. Right. But then you said they were like, oh, but you can't have them jump Texas. But then they're like, well, we'll have both of them in over an undefeated FSU.
Well, here's what
Texas at 3, Alabama at 4.
Yeah,
that's what they were pretty much.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. Like, I was surprised they weren't already pushing the narrative that even if Georgia loses to Alabama in that title game, they might still be worthy of a shot.
I told you that they wouldn't, but you saw again another thing to watch here. The rankings here, they did put Missouri ahead of Louisville, which is stupid.
Yeah,
come on, it's stupid. I mean, they just did it for that reason. It looks like, I don't know.
Well,
they did put a 2-loss team ahead of a 1-loss team in the SEC.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that they did that this week.
So
both teams and Louisville went on the road and beat Miami.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy thing to do.
That's kind of how that's how they've always done it in the SEC, though.
It was on the back end all year, and they beat Notre Dame handily.
Beat Notre Dame.
And to get jumped by a team with 2 losses is flat out ridiculous. I know, but it's in the top 10, and it's just like, what's going on here? Are they setting up for something? I mean, I don't know.
Right. The nightmare scenario for every undefeated team should be, Alabama beating Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't think that you can put a 1-loss conference champion
ahead of an undefeated conference.
It's
not the same.
Well, it depends on who they play in the conference title.
I don't think it does. If you're undefeated and you win,
no, I'm talking about for the 1-loss game.
Right. It's going that they're going ahead and because if Georgia wins, then there you go. And I think that's going to happen anyway.
That's the benefit of playing in the SEC.
No, if Georgia loses that game, I don't get out of here. They lost.
No. I'm strictly talking about for Alabama versus Texas. Should it come down to those 2 teams?
Right. Yes. It would be better for me. It would be better if Oklahoma was that team in the Big 12. Then Texas could avenge their only loss of the year.
Yeah,
and Oklahoma just looks like a better win than a Cowboy team in Oklahoma State.
Right.
It would be, if they were ranked, it would be on the cusp of it.
Well, and what you're seeing now is, so, man, they can't let their bias not show a little bit. You know, Reese Davis politicking that hard. You know, that where'd he go to school at?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's the thing. I don't think Alabama fans have anything to worry about.
No,
there's no way that if you win the SEC,
I think there's a way they could be left out.
If they win the SEC,
yeah,
the number one team undefeated Georgia. No,
you think they jump Texas?
Yeah.
Nobody
cares about that early season win.
If that would make more sense to me than having 2 one-loss teams jump an undefeated conference champion.
Right.
So, yeah, the head-to-head, which, you know, it's supposed to be something that's measured, though. So you had those teams match up. Texas went into Alabama.
That's where the fear is.
By double digits.
That's where the fear lies with Alabama, is they think that, you know, there is actually a legitimate argument made. I am you know, less naive. Like, it's ESPN, it's the SEC,
if that were to hold
their show, man.
Yeah, I know. But if that
even though it's Texas, even though Texas has a lot of pull and they're, you know, one of the blue bloods and everything like that, like,
wait till next year when you're in the SEC, then you can reap those awards, but not this year.
Right. And you just, you know, using eyeballs. Like, Alabama looks better right now.
I don't.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to say, hey, we're going to look at resume. We're also going to factor in, you know, their metrics and their eyeballs. And they just, if Alabama wins the SEC, they have a spot in the college football playoff. Bottom line.
It would be over. You would have to just say it's over a Texas then. You can't leave out Texas undefeated.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Champion.
Like, now, exactly.
I mean, that would be just obscene. I mean, I don't care how good they're playing. This is the same season where they benched their quarterback and lost at home. So,
yeah.
So, you know, we just wanted to get on here, talk about that. It's 5. I don't think FSU fans need to worry about anything. It's Florida week. We're going to talk about that game later. No, and that's going to be a tough game. And the committee member said that too. They acknowledged that. Louisville is going to be a top 10 opponent. I see them beating Kentucky, but
you hope they're going to be a top 10 opponent.
You want to beat Kentucky. Yeah. A lot of things are yet to be decided, but you know, they just poking at you. Yeah. I mean, that you just hope that there's sense on the committee to not do that. They did go 10 years ago. They put 2 one-loss teams ahead of an undefeated Florida State team, even though everyone's in. You know, you're not.
Yeah, there's definitely precedent for them to just kind of make up their own narrative.
But undefeated to leave them out would be. Oh my God! It would. I might be done with the sport.
Yeah, and you know, like I mentioned, Reese Davis. I think that's why you're seeing him take aim at Florida State, especially. Because, you know, if they're out of there, even if they're undefeated, then that opens up a spot for Texas and Alabama.
That's what I'm saying. That's what they would want. They would be. Yeah. It would be Ohio State, Washington, Texas, Alabama. I mean that.
You know that with an undefeated Florida State team potentially sitting out there, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that. You know, number one, you got to play in the swamp, and they're playing for a bowl game. Yeah, they're not great, but it's still down there, and they're in this vaunted SEC conference. Number two, you got to play a team that is going to be a top 10 team.
Yeah.
You know, it's not some 8-3 or, you know, 6-5 ACC team that somehow got to the title game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think you got anything to worry about if you go undefeated. What you got to worry about is going undefeated.
Yeah. And any FSU fans, I think they're focused on the task at hand. You got an arch rival game at Florida that throw the records out. That means so much. So, and then you have a championship to play for. And this team hasn't sniffed one of those in a decade. So,
nope.
You know, your quarterbacks, your leaders out. So, you know, you won't put your blinders on
racing again.
If you're going to talk about, you know, the quarterback getting, you know, left off one of these teams at Florida, if I was to look at these teams, say, if Bo Nix was knocked out of Oregon, I think then he means more to that offense than I say Jordan Travis does to FSU's offense. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not trying to.
I understand what you're saying. I think in terms of how
their offense is run, we don't need Jordan Travis to throw 6 touchdowns and a half. We don't want him to.
Right.
You know, it's better when we beat Miami 2 years ago, he only threw a few passes. You know, he runs the offense well, but I think they can be.
Yeah,
you have to give them a chance to fill that position. And like if you had a guy like Bo Nix or Penix,
right? If it down right now,
way more.
Yeah.
If you watch this team all year, you'll be able to see that they're trying to use that kind of narrative that he was everything, but I don't think that's the case. There's more on this team. We have NFL receivers, NFL running backs, tight ends, deepest that FSU's had in a while, and that segment pissed me off. So it worked. Yeah, they got it.
That's what they do, and you can't expect the national media. A lot of them will just see FSU like they see those other teams. Their backup can't be good, and maybe some of those teams do have another backup that might be able to operate it. We've actually seen Tate play in a game situation, but he's going to have his chance right now. Like, this is more than large enough sample size.
Yeah, you have a good team around you, quarterback can be picked up. Everybody else can step up their play. You saw 10 years ago with Cardell Jones hasn't done a damn thing except win a few games. So you got to give a guy that's been on the team who's a redshirt junior, let him, and you have 2 games to see that. And that would be, I have a feeling that's going to be looked at. I don't think they're going to fall for it. I think it's just they're poking the bear trying to get ratings, and you're right, and they did. It worked.
Yeah. That's the name of the game, man.
All right. Well, we got NFL picks to do, and we're going to do some more college football preview later in the week, probably Friday. Thank you, Jimmy, and stick around for the picks, man.
You know it. Coming in hot this week. Winning streak starts now.
We had to go. Our ride was here. We got a shuttle to our